I think this scratch PL sound is a good candidate for pitch automation. So I'll click on it, right click on its pitch parameter, and go to Create Automation Clip. And as you can see over here in the playlist view, we now have an automation clip for that parameter. We'll string together a few copies of pattern 1. Actually, let's go with 4. And then we'll just stretch this automation out here so that it's 8 bars long. Now I can zoom in on it. And now that I'm zoomed in, I can go through and do some pitch automation whenever I hear that scratch PL sound trigger. So I'll just click the pencil icon here. We'll demo the beat and I'll start creating some breakpoints along this automation line just by right clicking. Sounds like right about here. I have kind of a funky little pitch change right here. Let's see what that sounds like. Kind of like that. It staggers the beat a bit. Let's do another one a couple triggers later over here. I'll just create another breakpoint or two. Let's hear what that sounds like. I really like how the pitch modulation is adding some swing to that scratch sound, so I'll leave it as it is for now. Now I want to add pitch modulation to one more sound, so I'm just going to click down here on Automation Clips and go to All, so I can see all my sounds again. So I think a couple of these 808 kicks could also use a lower pitch at certain times during the beat. So I'll go to the 808 kick sound, right click on pitch, go to Create Automation Clip, and there we go. Come back here and we'll do a little bit of automation on that. So there's actually a kick drum trigger right around here. Just going to create a couple of breakpoints. Now here's one of the reasons I love working with samples. When you pitch a sample down, it also, of course, extends the length of the sample's playback time out. In the case of the kick drum right here, my hope is that the lower pitched kick drum will also play out long enough so that it will add a really funky little shuffle to the pattern right here. And indeed that worked out pretty well. So I'm actually going to do a similar change on the other half of the track over here. So here's where that same change will occur. And now I've got that pitch down effect happening at predictable points in the rhythm, which again will serve to create an anchor for the rest of the sounds that are happening around it. I'll just drag this out, and we'll move on. Next I want to add a couple of effects to some of the sounds in the beat in order to do some creative automation here. So I'll come back to All. I'll bring up the mixer view here, again through this button. Go to the first insert, and create a fruity delay too. Now I'll come back to my channel view and assign a couple of my sounds to the delay. I think the 808 snare as well as the rim snare could use some delay, so I'll drag the effects button up here to 1 on the 808 snare, and then come down to the rim snare and do the same thing. Now they're both going through the delay. Of course I don't want the delay on there all the time, so we'll automate that. So first I'll solo one of these sounds that's going into the delay. We'll just choose the 808 snare so that I can set up some interesting delay parameters. Alright, I kind of like how glitchy that is. It fits in with the character of the entire beat. So now the next thing we want to do is automate when the delay is on and off. So I'll come back to the mixer up here, go to Insert 1, and then I'll right click on the Mute Solo button here for the fruity delay, and go to Create Automation Clip. I'll come back over here to the playlist view, and we'll automate that a couple of times to add in some glitchy delay effects here and there in the beat. So by default, I want to drag this line all the way down, which means no delay. and another one right here. And then one more here at the end to make the turnaround sound cool. I'm actually going to put an effect on the master, so it will actually affect all of the drums. I'll come up here to the mixer view, go to master, and insert a fruity flanges. So I'm going to set up some interesting settings here. Bring this depth way down, and the delay up just a bit. Bring the dry version of the sound down just a bit so that it emphasizes the wet version of the sound a bit more than by default. And now we'll go through and automate that effect send. I'll just right click here and go to Create Automation Clip. So much like we did with Delay 2, we'll just go through and turn the effect on and off whenever we want to. I think it would sound good right here. And then again at the end before the beat starts over again. Let's hear what that sounds like. Now listening back to this beat, I'm really happy with how it's turned out, except for one thing. I'd like to vary the time parameter on the Delay 2 effect right here at the end where it triggers one last time. So I'll come back up to the mixer, click on the Fruity Delay 2 here, and then create an automation clip for the time parameter. Now I specifically want to raise the time parameter up just a little bit here at the end. So I'll just create a couple breakpoints here. So now by default, the delay's time parameter is at 1%. But right here it will switch up to 5% to give a different kind of shuffle pattern to the delay. So here's our completed pattern. Of course, we could keep going all day, adding more samples and more automation to the beat. But now that you've seen how easy and straightforward it is to do this, I hope that you'll have some success with these techniques. So let me just recap what we've done throughout this video. We of course started out with our pattern here, just laid it out drum by drum like you would with any other drum beat. We put a compressor on the output just to tame some of those nasty peaks that were showing up. Additionally, we tweaked some of our levels and pans just to fill out the stereo spectrum, as well as to bring down the level of some of those drum hits that were taking up a little bit too much headroom in the mix. We also went through and automated various parameters just by finding the parameter in the FL Studio interface. For instance, with the 808 kick drum pitch parameter, we just right-clicked, went to Create Automation Clip, came back over here to the playlist view, and we were presented with the automation clip here, where we could draw in all of our changes over the timeline of the beat. I'll see you next time for more music production tips and tricks. Stay creative.